And thanks for joining us. Let's go in search of consequence. I'm sure you've heard already the Auditor General's report on the COVID-19 expenses and how we use the funds, right? We've talked a lot about it. But now that we've read it, the key question is, then what? Is a fundamental question. And that's what we've been attempting to answer tonight on PM Messages. Look, don't waste any time on this because you've read a bit of the details. But all I'm going to do for you is to isolate, synthesize, and help you appreciate some of the key numbers here. Right, if you look at the COVID-19 vaccine procurement that we are talking about, amount paid to, and this is one of the most controversial bits of this, at the time of COVID, we spent money to import vaccines. We paid the suppliers, UNICEF and Avast, a total of $120 million. We wanted a delivery of vaccines. They only delivered vaccines worth $38 million. They still have not delivered $81 million of the vaccines. The Health Ministry yesterday explained that this is because we don't have the capacity to store the vaccines, but also vaccine hesitancy, etc., have been the reasons why we have not taken delivery of this. And so this money currently is still one that we have spent without receiving the vaccine. So that's the one. And then we also talk about the amount mobilized in 2020 to deal with the COVID-19. And what we're trying to do is to give you a sense of what we find to be the discrepancy between the Finance Ministry's own accounting of how much they raised and what the Auditor General audited, right? And there's a discrepancy because the numbers are different. According to the Finance Ministry's own data, they mobilized 18.19 billion cedis in 2020. But the Auditor General only said they audited 19.11 billion. So there's a discrepancy here. I mean, how that came about, we still haven't had clarity on this. The Finance Ministry thankfully has issued a statement, but it doesn't resolve this particular discrepancy. So that's one to watch. And then we also find that in spite of this, the Auditor General did not audit all the sources of funding that we got to mitigate the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. So the Auditor General audited 6 sources, okay? However, the Finance Ministry got money from a total of 9 sources, which means the Auditor General did not audit the Korea funding that came in from Korea, didn't audit funding that came in from Germany, and did not audit funding that came in from the government of Ghana's own monies that were made available to fund it and mitigate the impact. And so this is outstanding and hasn't been audited. The question is, what is the Auditor General going to find if he chooses to do so? But also key question, why didn't the Auditor General audit these 3 as well? So fundamental question that we'll say to Daniel Domelevo. He's been there before. So how did the Auditor General miss these 3 sources? He's joining me. He will answer some questions quickly on this as well. And then these are the various funding sources and how much we got in total. The IMF, the World Bank, the European Union, and we are talking about this is the sources that we know are available according to the mid-year budget review. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sources in all, a total of 25.68 billion cedis that we got in total according to the budget. And then you begin to see a discrepancy also in the total amounts that the Auditor General audited, as in 21 billion, but the budget says we mobilized a total of 25 billion. So that tells you they are outstanding. And then look at the amount utilized in 2020 and 2021. You see the Auditor General talks about 12.23. The ministry talks about 12.04. I mean, yeah, a tiny bit of numbers, but it matters. So we are highlighting the utilization of the contingency fund. These are the host of things that was used on, fund was used to pay a host of things, allowances to frontline workers, etc. Right? And then you look at the utilization of the BOG's own bonds. Bonds were issued. Those bonds are now going to be subject to the domestic debt exchange, right? People bought those bonds, institutions and individuals bought those bonds, so we can help you use that money, to deal with the COVID. And, that's what the money was used for in the end. And then you look at the IMF Rapid Credit Facility that also came in. This is what they use for liability management, district assemblies, common fund, etc. in that same period that they got the money. Construction of 88, 88 district hospitals as one. But I find this curious, though. Why they use the money to pay NAPCO second quarter allocation? NAPCO. Why were you using COVID alleviation money to pay NAPCO trainees? It's one of the things that questions need to be answered about. Utilization of the World Bank money also came in. We use this for a host of things, including medical equipment, cleaning materials, consultancy, storage facility, construction, etc. And then if you look at the budget, other findings, and this is one of the most controversial bits, right? We spent $607,000 paid out to of this 4 million contract for the supply of 26 Toyota Hayes Deluxe ambulances. In the end, the contract was signed on the 5th of December, right? And the ambulances were to be delivered by the 15th of January. As we speak currently, no ambulance have been delivered at all as of the 28th of November last year. And so we need clarity on that as well. And then we also know that the Ministry of Information paid themselves a total amount of 151,000 plus risk allowance, and this was contrary to the risk allowance directives and without approval from the Office of the Chief of Staff as well. This has to be retrieved according to the Auditor General as well. And then according to the ministry, again, 53.8% and 46.2% spent on direct COVID-19 interventions and for general budget support respectively were consistent with a mandate approved by Parliament as well. So what about the outstanding key areas? And the ministry makes the point in the statement that I'm holding with me right now that I'll go to quickly, because there are some issues that have come up in this statement, because this is just coming in the last 3 hours or so from the Finance Ministry trying to explain the issues involved in the Auditor General's investigations.